Alrighty, good to see the chat room starting to get busy there. I can see the numbers are coming up. Lovely to see the familiar names returning, which is always good every single week. So thank you so much for joining me. Really looking forward to this one with my friend Hugo, who I've only known for a few weeks, but I feel like I've known him so much longer. Wonderful photographer. I think this is going to be a really interesting story, and I'm really intrigued to hear about the social media side of things. So yeah, looking forward to this. And Amanda, don't drink too much wine.
Go, 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 go.
God, that music was very yo, 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 wasn't it? Blimey. Didn't realise it was quite like that. But listen, folks, thank you so much for joining me yet again. Another week, another live broadcast. Really looking forward to this one. I've only known Hugo just a few weeks. We met when we were out in San Francisco. Hugo was one of the 25 of us that came along there, invited along by Adobe. Had a really good couple of days. And we just kind of hit it off, got chatting, saw his Instagram, and I was like, God almighty, I've got to get this guy on the lives. So that's why he's here, amongst other reasons. But we'll come to Hugo in a minute. Before we do, again, thank you so much for joining me from all over the place. I saw that 34 Media, all these people are posting where they're from, and the 34 Media jumps in with a cool evening all from Australia. How cool is that? We are international, which is good to know. Right, a little bit of admin, first of all, only a couple of things to mention. The first one is, since I did the last live broadcast, another pre-recorded video went out. It was only a short one. I think it was 7 minutes long. And it was all to do with these Rode wireless microphones that I mentioned to you about. The ones that fit into your mobile phone. They're mainly for people who do a lot of content using their phone, because obviously it's really convenient. And this little device here, there's two little speakers, 2 microphones, 1 receiver. It goes into the bottom of your phone, whether your iPhone, Android, whatever. And you can record it. Now, did the video on it, and I used them properly in anger yesterday when we had Storm Dara here in the UK. We've still got the tail end of it now. But it was like 65 mile-an-hour winds when I was out with my friend Brian down at a place called West Bay, and I used these microphones with the windshield on it. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, check out the little reel that I did. Considering the wind noise, I can't believe how good the microphone was. I mean, you wouldn't even know it was windy. I would say if you hadn't seen my hair blowing in the wind, but obviously I can't say that. But you know what I mean? It was just really, really windy. But yeah, quality was very good. So that's one thing to check out. I did mention in my newsletter about a week or so ago that a box had arrived, and I think it was the OM1 Mark II that OM Systems had sent me to have a bit of a play with. It wasn't. It was something completely different. However, it is arriving tomorrow. OM1 Systems, the OM1 Mark II, this little camera here, which I'm looking forward to getting my hands on from tomorrow. So if any of you out there have got that, and there's anything about it that you think would be good content for me to do in a video, then let me know. But I am really looking forward to having a play with this. I've not been excited about a camera, a physical camera, for a long time, because it just seems that they're scratching their heads now to think, what can we put into these cameras now to make them more, more appealing? And it's getting harder and harder for them. But this camera seems to have the technology in it that really appeals to me. And I'm talking things like the graduated neutral density filter built into it. The focus stacking sounds really cool. The tracking itself sounds really cool. The exposure bracketing sounds like it's very, very good. So very excited to have a bit of a play with that. So I've got some shoots lined up. So keep an eye on the channel for those. What else am I going to tell you? Oh yeah, also, have I got this set up? Let's just quickly see if I've got my I've got my Lightroom set up. Let's just quickly dive into my desktop here. This is one of the pictures. Hugo will probably recognise this. This is one of the pictures that I took with my phone, actually, when I was over in San Francisco. And what I want to do is, because I've done a video fairly recently after I'd got back on my iPad, showing how I was retouching the images using Lightroom on the iPad. So what I've done, I'm going to do a video showing how I retouched this particular picture. But also, if you look in the chat any second now, should come up any second. There you go. I've put a little poll in the chat to do with Lightroom editing, or editing anyway, and the iPad. Quickly let us know your thoughts. Are you in or are you out? Just let me know on that, and it'll just give me a good idea of what people's thoughts are. But that's it. That's all I've got for the actual admin. There's one extra little thing I'm going to add on to it at the very end of this, but I don't want to delay much longer. I want to get Hugo. I want to get the main man in. But before we do, I've put together a slideshow promo. As I do every guest that comes in, I put something together for them with appropriate music. Hugo sent some of his images over, which are just lovely. They're really, really cool stuff. So I'll play that now, and then we'll get him in. So this is the promo I've put together, which he hasn't seen. Promo I've put together for Hugo. How cool is that? It's really cool stuff, isn't it? Right, let me unmute him. Let's make sure the technicals work. I can see that's working. Let's bring him in. There we go. Hugo, can you hear me?
I can hear you. That promo was amazing.
It's your images, mate. Don't worry about it. Your images is it. It's just a bit of music I put to it as well. So, yeah, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, very well done, man. You nailed it.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining me. Obviously, we've only known each other a very, very short time, but it was great that we got to meet up in San Francisco. Obviously, when we were chatting, first of all, I was kind of like, oh, I've got to get you on the lives. I really, really have. And then obviously here we are now. It was when I saw your Instagram, I remember I was in the auditorium and I gave you, we're swapping handles and stuff like that. And I looked at your stuff and I was like, hello. Got to get you in. So thank you very much for doing this. Well, listen, you already, there's nice comments coming in, great images. Have a look at this here. Look. Oh, look at these. Yeah. Look at that. Beautiful work, Lee Churchill.
Thank you, Lee.
And Judy, regular viewer, as is Lee. Love that there's one person in so many of them. Yeah, I want to ask you about that, actually. Intriguing, powerful, but delicate colour. Wow, stunning work. It goes on. And our friend Anthony is back. He's back. He had a bit of a hiatus. If he's back now, good old Anthony. There you go. Good to see you, mate. And yeah, some really, really lovely comments here. And look at this, look. Vincent has put, wow, great pics, young fella. Years ahead on your photography. Oh. Keep up the good work, Hugo. Do you know him? Do you know that guy?
I don't think I do know Vincent, but definitely happy to get to know you.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, and I mean, lovely one just coming there. Like this is going to be an evening of just putting comments up. This look, his photos inspire me so much. Well, listen, Hugo, one thing I do is what I like to do when we start these kind of things off is just to get us kind of warmed up. Is just to ask yourself, as I do with everybody every week, is just say, give us a potted history of how you got to, be a photographer. But I want to kind of go a different route with you because we were chatting in the week about certain things and healing and all that kind of stuff. So I want to first of all just ask you, what got you into photography? So over to you.
So first, I got into photography. I got inspired by my cousin. So we were at our summer cottage here in Finland and she noticed something in the horizon. And it was like raining over there. And that made me very curious about that idea that now I can take a camera and capture this moment in time. And I can just return to that moment in a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years, 50 years from now. And that got me hooked. And I went on a deep dive into cameras to YouTube, found Peter McKinnon and these other people there and started looking into cameras. And then I got my first one. And photography overall worked as a way to, capture memories for me from my own adventures, whether it was abroad with my family, or then it was somewhere in the neighborhood or in the very close to nature. But then it worked overall as an escape. I was very bullied at school, and I was literally bullied of everything. From like how I moved my eyes to how I smiled to how I looked, like about everything, apart from photography, because of people who didn't know that I was doing photography because I kept it a secret. And it has served me to this day in some ways like as a therapeutic thing and as an escape to forget like other stuff that is going on. But yeah, I got into it from I want to capture memories, and I think also to how like one interviewer once kind of put it for me. I wanted to focus on the good moments, on the certain moments, and then crop out everything else. So
that's a good way of saying it. Yeah, using that terminology there. Yeah. So okay, so let's just kind of backtrack a little bit here then. So obviously you mentioned there that you were introduced into photography prior. It wasn't motivated to do it to escape. It was just something that you were shown first of all, and you kind of really got into it and you enjoyed it. And it was the thought of capturing, like you say there, capturing those moments, freezing those moments, And then you could look at them in years and years to come to relive those feelings. And that's what it does, isn't it? It kind of gives you that. I don't know. You probably find this anyway, and I think most people will say this who take pictures. You can look at somewhere, certainly your images, the kind of images that you're taking. I'll just bring a couple of these up here. These kind of, not that one, but this one, these locations, let's just say, these kind of locations that you're doing these pictures in here. I would imagine that when you're looking at those afterwards, however long it is, that you can remember every single thing about being there. Everything. Not just what it was like, but things that you did right, things you did wrong, all those kind of things. And I love that. But it's interesting where you very openly mention about the bullying side of it. And that's I'm glad you led into that, because that's what I wanted to bring up, because I went onto your website, and then obviously this is on the about sort of who you are kind of thing. And you go straight away on your website, you explain how when you growing up you faced bullying. But what really strikes me about you, Hugo, is that your website, and I'm kind of trying to link this in here, your website, which is kind of promoting you as a photographer and what skills and stuff that you have to sort of help people. That's the thing, is that everything on that website there seems to come back to one thing, and that's to help people. Because look at this here, look, it's all to do with, through his artwork, he wants to lift up and inspire those going through difficult times or struggling in daily life and let them know they're not alone. Now, I don't say this to, in any way, kind of emphasize your age, because I am jealous, I must admit. Like I said before we started, I'm mentally your age, but I'm not physically, all right? But what I think is amazing is that somebody who is so fresh, if I'm able to say that, if it's right to say that, in the photography industry, and your career is in its infancy, that from the get-go, you're doing it because you want to help people. And that's because of what's happened to you. So what is it again then about photography that helps you?
Yeah, I think it's about focusing on the specific things, the specific stories. That I have journaled a lot about this, and I want to do it even more to really find out even a deeper why to all of this. But I think for me, photography, without photography, it could be also easy to slip into some negativity.
Yeah.
And photography helps me recall those adventures and the beautiful and precious moments I've had, for example, with my father. He's often on these adventures with me. And yeah, I think I hope to inspire and uplift and bring hope through the photos for other people, but it's also for me that I want to feel inspired through this stuff. And sometimes I just stare at my own photos, because it also helps. It helps me calm down and relax and be present, and also get everything into perspective. That if I'm worrying about something, then it just helps looking at these photos also.
So it's kind of like, as I'm sure it is for a lot of people watching here, it's kind of like an escapism. You kind of go into a different place mentally as well as physically when you're taking your pictures.
Yeah, I would say so. That it always helps regarding on what's going on. And I would say when people ask me what got me into nature photography, especially, sure, I live in Finland, so nature is everywhere, and 70% of Finland is forests. But then it was also one place where I got to escape the most. In streets, there's people, and people weren't really in my life in that moment. Weren't really nice to me. And in nature I could just be with my camera, and that's it. So yeah, I'd say definitely it has helped me a lot to overcome different kind of things.
I think it's commendable that, from what I mean, I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, because there's one thing I can't stand. Because when I was a kid, I was bullied when I was in the second school, Actually, quick story on that, right? Quick story on that. I remember I was bullied by this one kid. He was called Smudge. That was his nickname. They called him Smudge. And I was only really little then, really, really little. And years later, you know, I've left school and I'd moved away. I'd moved to London and I'd started doing my training and I'd started to compete in bodybuilding. And I was a lot bigger, a lot bigger. And then where I came from, the hometown I was brought up in, which is where I went to school and I was bullied, the gym there, the owner of the gym was holding a competition. There was going to be a bodybuilding competition. So when I was back home the one time visiting, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do that. I'll do that competition. So I went back home for a week to get ready, the last stages of getting ready. And I went down to the gym to do some final training. And when I'm in the gym, this is 2 days before the competition, this guy walks in the gym, and I'm not bragging. I was the biggest person in the gym at the time. I was just under 280 pounds. I was a big guy. So this guy walks in the gym. Straight away, I thought, that's Smudge. I recognised him. Straight away. The guy that used to bully me when I was younger. So he didn't know who I was. So he comes in, he's training and I'm training, and he gets on the bench press and he starts to kind of like do his weights, and then he put more weight on, and he came over to me and said, hello, mate. He says, can you help me out with this? Can you give me a spot? And I was like, yeah, of course I can. So he lies down on the bench. He gets his hand on the bar and he starts to get ready. And I lifted off like this. So I'm above him looking down on him, and I lifted off like this. And as he's lying there like that, I'm holding it. And I said to him, do you remember me? And he went, no. I said, you're Smudge, aren't you? He went, yeah. I said, you used to bully me. I'm 𝐁𝐤𝐿. He went, did I? And I just let go of the bar and just walked away and let him struggle with it. And that was the best revenge I'd ever had in my life. I got more satisfaction than that rather than lamping him. It was just the best. Anyway, I thought I'd kind of share that with you. So I think maybe, you know, a lot of us have had some experience, but like I said, I don't want to dive into what you went through, but I think it's fantastic to hear that you found something so soon that can be your escapism. So what is it then? So you take nature pictures, and I guess I probably know the answer to this, but of all the things you could do in photography, why the nature side of things? It can't just be because you live in a beautiful part of the world. There must be more to it.
Yeah, there is more to it. So I just feel different when I'm in nature compared to cities, although they have their own charm. Like San Francisco was a very like a cool city to explore as well. But yeah, in nature, I feel like I belong, kind of.
Yeah.
That there I can just be me. I don't need to be anyone else. And yeah, that's also one of the reasons why, like, I was so attracted to nature in the first place, because I felt I belonged. At home, like back in the day, I didn't feel like I belong, and well, nowadays I'm still like very different from the rest of my family. And at school, I definitely didn't feel like I belonged because pretty much everyone was bullying me, or at least not showing support in any way. So nature was kind of like always, welcoming. And when it was combining all of this, that okay, I get to like have these adventures of my own, and now I get to capture them on this camera, and it's cool to capture these and then play around them in Lightroom. And then this feeling of belonging, when all of that just combines, to me, it's amazing. And then as you mentioned, that you can then go back to this moment and you will literally remember like a ton from all of these shoots and the effort that went into making the photos, and the times where maybe you didn't get the good light and you maybe hiked the same fell like 6 or 7 times and so on. So I'd say
Cool.
like that.
Cool. I get it, and I can see here that somebody who's got a very cool handle. The handle name is just L. That's who they are, is L. And they say, I feel more connected in nature. Totally. I mean, I've only been doing I've always loved the outdoors, always loved it. I've always been very much an outdoor person, but I've only been doing the outdoor kind of photography ever since just at the COVID times. So, I've been doing it a very, very short time, but I just love it. I can totally understand what you mean about feeling connected, and it's escapism, and you feel like you belong there. I mean, yesterday we were doing this storm photography, and it wasn't as rough as we'd hoped it would be, but it was exhilarating. And I say exhilarating because some of the pictures here, look, I mean, look at this one here, look. I mean, that really struck me, one of the pictures here. When I say exhilarating, that looks as if it was exhilarating. What a fantastic place. What a great shot. Now, somebody mentioned, I think it was Judy. Judy mentioned that in a lot of your photos, Hugo, there is a picture of yourself. And this is interesting because of all the guests that I've had come on here so far, you're the first person that kind of does this. And you might just be a tiny, tiny part of that picture, like in the San Francisco image where there's the bridge and you're just down here. Tell us about that. What's the thought process and reasoning for you being in your pictures in such a way?
Yeah, there's a few things. So first of all, it comes back to the memory kind of thing. That when there's a photo without a picture, I still remember it, and it's nice. But I'm not in the photo. I can't see myself that I was there in that environment. So that's why I started having me in the photos, because I wanted to remember that and be able to see that I was in this environment myself. And then I think another reason is I wanted to also see that I was connected to the world, that I belonged here. And I think I was trying to make sense of it all. And then also at times I expressed my emotions, and I still do sometimes, by using humans, whether it is me or my father or then someone else, and that comes often through bullying. I felt a lot that I was lonely, that I had some peers, but not true friends, because these peers also bullied me at times. And I felt lonely. So I think I tried to kind of also express it that way. That you could see, in my photos, that there's the small person in this huge world. That's kind of how I felt. And sometimes nowadays I'm still feeling like it, because I'm pursuing a different kind of a path in entrepreneurship, and in Finland especially, that's not a common thing to do. So I do at times feel like I'm trying to make sense of it all. And then the last reason is then for the other people and helping them. And how I see when there is a human in the photo, I can imagine that someone else can imagine themselves being the human in the photo.
Yeah.
And that's why I often aim to make it that you can't recognize the person who's in the photo. Of course, people who follow me, they know it's me, or then probably my dad. But if they don't follow me, or even if they do, maybe they can imagine themselves being this person and being in nature. And maybe that will help them calm down. If they don't have maybe access to nature. I kind of wish that people can also imagine themselves being that person, and dream of being there maybe themselves one day, and overall feel better. So those, I would say, are the other reasons for that.
Well, it's interesting the reasons that you give for doing that. That was quite interesting to hear. That there's three specific different reasons. But look at this here, Judy, who again, wonderful. Judy's always tuning in. Bless her. She's put here, and this is great because she's looking at your images, and this is how she's interpreting it. She doesn't see it as loneliness in the photo. She sees it as an adventurer, which kind of ticks the box of one of the things that you've just said there. That the final reason for people putting themselves in that position.
Yeah,
because I could totally get it. I mean, I've when I was putting your images together to put on the slideshow and in here now, I found it intriguing as to why you were in it, in a very very interested way as to why would you choose to do that. It's just it's a very different kind of photography that I don't do that. The only time I'm in a picture is when it's a really bad selfie, and you can obviously tell it's me. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's intriguing that you do it in such a way that you can't necessarily tell that it's you. But what you say there about people putting themselves in the pictures and imagine them being there, that's what I get with that. That's what I get with that picture. I can almost feel, just by looking at it, I can almost feel that height of how high I am, whether that's an optical illusion or what, because of how you've composed it. But it feels like I'm there, and I'm thinking, whoa, this is high. Do you know what I mean? So I'm living almost the memory of you taking that picture, which is kind of cool. Really cool. So interesting. Oh, there you go. Some L. What is your full name? That's really cool, L. Sometimes being alone is an adventure, but to yourself. There you go. Interesting. Oh, and all the holidays is put here. It absolutely brings a sense of scale to the images. Yeah, absolutely it does. Yeah, it really, really does. All right then. Okay. So interesting to see or hear how you started and why you started. And I still think it's just amazing, really, that for somebody who clearly has, to say the least, had a bit of a rough time growing up, the experiences at school, to then start doing the photography for one reason, because it offers you the escape, but then the other reason, which is evident by your website, is because you basically want to help people. You know, you could almost think that would be the last thing you want to do. You want to just get away from people and just be in your own little world. But I think it's commendable that you want to do that. So now that we've got that out of the way, I really wanted to, and thank you for sharing that. Let's get down to the nuts and bolts, right? Let's get down to the nuts and bolts here. Kit, all right, and traveling. Because I know that you're planning your next trip to Japan. You love to do the traveling side of things. And I'm intrigued by all this because I'd want to take everything, including the kitchen sink, when I'm going. So how do you plan when you're going to do these treks and these travels and stuff like that? What's your process for planning where you're going and also what you're going to be taking?
Yeah, so first I often make like a spreadsheet, like an Excel, and then I put all of the locations that I hope to visit. Then I put how important it is. So based on the weather, then I can choose like where to go to. Then I will put like all the details at the address where the hike starts, and is it a round trip or not? How long is it? And then some information on like what do I expect to see there. And then I have an idea of I can recall what was the idea of going there in the first place. Then what I bring there is I often try to bring everything, but yeah, it's sometimes tough to bring everything. But honestly, I kind of do that. That I do bring my tripod, then I bring my Sony a7 III, then 16 to 35 f4, then 70 to 200 f4. And now lately I did get from Sony the 100 to 400. So now carrying everything has become a bit of more of a struggle. But I still aim to do it. So I just bring everything and then I just kind of suffer more, I would say. But then what I also believe is that I don't recommend suffering for no reason. But I think getting a cool photo, like it's a good reason. So like sometimes I just walk, with all of this gear. And for me, it's I'd say like for me it is a pretty difficult thing. I mean, like of course for others it wouldn't be easy either. But I also had as a kid, one of the reasons I also was bullied for was like children rheumatics. So I had like a lot of joint pain, and this led that I have a very flat feet right now. So I barely can walk after 7 to 9 kilometers without pain. So then, like it also adds another layer to it all. But yeah, I try to bring everything. And when it comes to then planning bigger trips like abroad and stuff, then of course you need to take into account all of the, like if you're using public transport now, like with the Japan, I figured out like all the buses and subways and like all the timings, how do I get from A to B, and really getting it all down. Now I've planned with ChatGPT, and which is interesting.
Hold on, right? Because I was about to ask you what apps you use for planning this. So you plan your trips using ChatGPT? Is that what you're
Before
saying?
I didn't, but the
But now,
Japan trip,
now you do. Come
yeah,
on, explain
Japan
that. Come on,
nearly, yeah.
explain that for us grayer people. What do you mean by that? Because I love using ChatGPT, but I'm finding more and more ways of using it. I mean, do you know the other day, completely different tangent here, Hugo, but I actually put in an image. I dragged an image into ChatGPT and asked it to give me an idea of what editing steps would it need to do to get that. And it gave me a list of all the editing steps you think that it would possibly need to do for that. It's like, that's really cool. Really cool. So come on, explain then. How would you use ChatGPT if you're going to be looking to plan?
Yeah. So first, I think you could just literally ask it that you could. And when it comes to ChatGPT overall and prompting with any AI, is that you should be as detailed as possible. So say you want to plan a trip to Finland, you shouldn't just say that, hey, give me the 5 best spots in Finland, but rather say like and describe very detailedly like what kind of photography do you do and kind of like what kind of photos you are thinking that you would want to take, and then it can search around like from the internet and gather that data for you. So personally, I don't use Google like barely at all. I just use
Same here.
ChatGPT to find everything. And
Yeah.
when it comes to then like planning the photo spots exactly, I don't let that like a ChatGPT determine that, but I do see what it suggests, and then I do my own searching from my Instagram
Right.
and
Okay.
that for that I also use Google, and then but then for the logistics, like how do I get from A to B, and how much does it cost, and what do I need to take into account, like payment wise, like. And then I also ask, like, based on what you know about me and our previous conversations, what do you think I might have forgotten to count into this cost?
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. I love it. I find it really exciting. It's literally, I mean, ChatGPT is just like having somebody next to you that's like
Yeah.
the font of all knowledge. They know everything. You go, hey, genius, how would I do this? And you just, it's just so clever. But you're right. I mean, interesting you say there that you don't generally use Google. I don't. I haven't used Google now for a while. It's just, I mean, I remember when we were in San Francisco as well, and we're talking to Jai, he was saying that he doesn't use it. Pat doesn't use it. He doesn't use Google. It's just like, wow, this is really cool. Really, really cool. So, okay. Wow. I think maybe, yeah, I mean, Amanda's put here, back in the days, it would have taken months to plan. In fact, on that note there, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you, because you say, look, I'm going to go to this place. These are the areas I'm going to go to. And I wanted to know, like, well, how would you decide if you're going to go to this country? How do you say, right, this is where I need to go to because this is going to be really, really cool? But you're saying there that you get suggestions from ChatGPT, but then you do your own research on Instagram, right?
Yeah. So I think the lowest barrier to starting the plan is just like asking ChatGPT, and then it will give me some locations. I will look them up and I will see like, okay, do I see what I could do here? Does it really fit into like my photography? Could I fit a small person somewhere there standing? And yeah, then I do my own research. I look at the other photographers who have been in their locations. I search locations on Instagram and I go through to see like what other people have done, and like would it even be possible to photograph something at a certain time, because like in Japan some places do close and you can't enter then after some time. So if there are no nighttime photos, then maybe you can't go there at nighttime. And then I make the decision by like I think it might be even gut instinct, to be honest, that I see like when I have maybe 2 similar choices, if I can't go to both of them, then I will check the weather of both locations, and if it's also similar, then I just will go with my gut, because what I have learned is that you shouldn't go against like your gut instinct. So I
100%.
just kind of go like that. So yeah, first ChatGPT, it gives me the first suggestions. Then I do my own research. I put everything into a spreadsheet, and then I go by the weather. And if the weather is same, then I think it gut instinct and what inspires me the most in that moment.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree what you say about the gut instinct, because 99.9% of the times it's always, it's right. You know what I mean? And if you do something against it and then you're, damn, why didn't I listen to my gut instinct? Yeah. Right. Okay. So this is interesting. I didn't expect this to be mentioned, but yeah, ChatGPT, that's really cool to hear. So again, now going back to the fact that you are, and again, don't take offense, you're a lot younger than me. And you're fresher you're newer into the industry than I am, so your outlook on things will be different, possibly. Although I do like to think that I keep myself well up to date. But when it comes to the editing side of things, and this is what I'm really intrigued about, is the actual workflow. So you go to wherever you're going to Finland, you're going to other countries, Japan, and what have you. You've told us what kit you're taking to take the pictures, which seems to be getting more and more. But when it comes to the actual workflow then of getting the pictures that you've taken from your camera to the final edited result that we'll see on your website or we'll see on your Instagram, what have you, what is your workflow for getting them from the camera to the final image edited? And what I'm getting at here, Hugo, is, are you somebody who is embracing the mobile workflow? Is that part of what you do? Is that like 100% of what you do, or is it just occasionally when the time fits, or what?
Okay, so first I import everything into Lightroom, and Lightroom Classic to be specific. There
okay.
I do go and rate photos. What is a keeper? I rate as 5 stars, and then everything else that then below that. Then I will filter through that it's 5 stars and only those are showing up. And then I will color the photos with the red flags, I think, and what I think are the best ones. And then I compare them and then I pick one. I use my own presets and then I get the photo edited in Lightroom. And nowadays I don't use Photoshop much anymore. And I did that intentionally because it was taking me way too long to edit photos. It took me I still have great photos from 3 years ago that I have never edited, and that was because my editing workflows took way too long. So I wanted to stop with that. So I switched everything then to Lightroom, and then once when I think I have the photo finished, then I will export the photo from Classic to the cloud version of Lightroom, and then I will have it sync to my mobile. And then I will go to my mobile, and often I will realize that the edit is not good enough. That I think when I'm comparing to other photos that are previously imported, I think no, I can't post this. I must do something else. So then what I often do is I will just edit the rest of that on the phone, and then there can be huge differences. So I'd say the final 20, maybe 50 to 25% is edited on the phone, and
Brilliant.
And then that can be I can compare it easily, and then I want to make sure it looks good also on the phone. Of course, my monitor is color calibrated, but then I want to make sure that when I'm posting it on socials, that it also looks great on a smaller device and stuff. And then I do take it to Instagram, and I still compare the different versions of my edit.
Yeah.
I kind of press it around and I see how it feels and then I just post it.
So on that then, Hugo, what is when you are retouching? In fact, going back, there was a question here, and I'll tie this in here because my friend Lee's put, do you have an image in mind before you leave for your trip? And kind of carrying on from that, I will add, when you're taking that picture, do you kind of already know what you're going to do to it? Are you at that? Is that how you're thinking, or is it very much that when you are retouching your images, you're just responding to what you feel and see at the time and just naturally go with it? Is that how you generally are? What would you say?
I think it's a mix. So when I'm going out, I do try to have some sort of an idea of what I'm gonna photograph, but this depends. That if I'm gonna go on a trip and I know I want to do a hike, I always have something in mind.
Yeah.
But then when I photograph locally, that if I go a kilometer from my house, I suddenly know that there's northern lights, then I don't know what do I photograph exactly. I mean, the northern lights, but I always want to try to have that person in the photo. So sometimes I just go there to the location with no more specific plan, just to figure out, okay, I want to know the lights and the person somehow in this photo, and how do I make it happen with what I have available. But then, yeah, when it's on these hikes, often what also happens is that the image I had in mind just doesn't work out. Maybe I did a poor job planning, and maybe the light doesn't work. That sometimes happens. Or then it just doesn't look good to me. That I thought I had maybe imagined it differently, and it just isn't good enough. But then I recognize something that is much better. Maybe I found something on the hike, on the way there, or then maybe at the final spot, like maybe a different angle, a different subject, like from the same spot. And that's what I often find, like in my photos. I have this idea of what I want, but then I will find something else and then photograph that thing. When it comes to an editing, it's also a mix. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, with the editing, Hugo, what's your primary focus? Are you kind of thinking of, right, I'm editing this because this is going to be mainly shared on my website or Instagram, or are you thinking of other things? Are you thinking, I'm editing this so that possibly it could be printed, possibly it could be sold, or whatever? Or is social media, is that your initial kind of priority when it comes to how the images look, and then everything else will kind of follow?
Yeah, it's the social media is the priority for me. And
Right.
that's because of, well, right now at least I do not sell prints. And I do reach most people through social media. So, and as like we went through that, I want to help people through my photos, so that it makes sense for me to optimize for that, because well, I get to
Absolutely.
help most people that way. And yeah, when it comes to the early question, like do I have the editing process, like do I know how I want to do it beforehand? It's also a mix. That sometimes I know pretty much exactly what I want, and then sometimes I have an idea, but then it doesn't work out, and then I do something else. And sometimes I don't know specifically what I want, but then I just go with the flow. And I always try to aim that the photo isn't super realistic, but that it's not unrealistic either. And I find that this is like a sweet spot, like in the middle, does bring most of the like hope and like the dreamy vibes across, and that also still does like keep the memories of the moment that I was there.
Cool. Well, I'm glad. I was trying to be clever there because I think it worked. Getting you talking about the social media, because I know we're going to talk about social media in a moment, and I'm conscious of time. So we're going to have a very short break in a second. But before we do, I see there's some other questions coming in, but there's one I want to bring up here because this is relevant to what we're talking about with you going out and taking your shots. So this is from Norman. And Norman has put, it's a bit technical, but some of the selfies are quite distant, especially on a beach with camera on the cliff. How are you remotely triggering these image captures? For example, let's see if I can find it. So it is possibly I love this shot. Where is it? I'm going to accidentally show loads of pictures now. I know I am, but I just love these images. Where's that one that I wanted to find with the, oh, there you go. Yeah. Look at that, right, with the big, do you know what? I got photo envy because I didn't take that kind of shot from that angle. I didn't go down there. Anyway, go on then. So for Norman's question then, how are you bringing that back up again then there? So how are you doing that? Because you're quite a distance away. I know that maybe you were down with, was it with Ron? Were you down with Ron on that particular shot there?
Yes,
maybe,
with Robbie. Yeah.
And Robbie as well, yeah, who's on next week. But let's go on then. Tell us, answer Norman's question there for us, and if you don't mind.
Yeah, so it has a bit changed, during the years. At first, it was literally that I like had my dad pretty much every shoot. Well, maybe not every shoot, but like a lot of the time still with me. And what I did was I just framed everything, the composition. I wanted to photograph myself, and then I just politely asked my dad to press the shutter for me, and that was it. And when it comes to actually copyright things, I think this depends from the country. But in Finland, it still does, of course, count as my photo. But I think in the US, I might be wrong, but I think in that case, my dad would be the copyright holder. But don't quote me on that.
Okay, interesting.
And then So also because of I was scared of that when I learned it like a few years later. I was like, okay, thanks, Dad, but let's test this out.
Thanks, Dad, but no thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I started to use a timer. So I just I mean, at times I just used a basic timer of 5 to 10 seconds. Then I at times used my phone as a remote, like with the Wi-Fi connection to my Sony, but it didn't really work very well because like you just lost the connection pretty much immediately when you were a bit farther away. So what I nowadays do is I use the intervalometer inside the camera. So I just set it like start taking photos, say 30 seconds to a minute, and then I have my time to get the shot, and then it will take photos, and then I will try different like poses, and that I have different options than in the post, and so I use the intervalometer nowadays.
I was kind of inside. I was chuckling then because I think Norman's asking how quick do you get down there, and then you said, "Oh, you set the timer to 5 or 10 seconds." I'm thinking, hold on a second. How on earth? My God, you're fit. You should take up running, mate. You should get down there so quick. But no, fantastic. Well, I've got some questions here. Now, Lee Churchill is put the monkey photo. Lee, which one? Do you know what he's referring to there? Which one are you referring to? Are you? Is it the one where he sat on the cliff? Is it this one? Is that what you're referring to? Would you call that a monkey photo? I don't know. Lee, put a comment in and let us know which one, and then we'll bring that up after the break. But Norman, I got Norman's put. Okay, intervalometer is neat. Good idea. Very, very good idea. All right, listen. Told you it'd go quick. 49 minutes already. Bang, gone. Right, so let's have a very quick break. I'll play a short ad, and then I want to come back. And I don't know why I'm bringing that up. That should be me and you. That was just a very subliminal message there about a course called How to Print. Let's have a very quick break. And then when we come back, I want to ask you about the social media, because you did drop a little bit of a microphone drop on me in the week and say, because my view on social media is different to a lot of others. It's like, whoa, hold on a second. All right. We'll find out what that's all about. So I'll be back with him. I'm going to mute your microphone just while this advert's on, but we'll be back in a moment because I want to pick your brains about this social media stuff. All right? Catch you back in a mo.
Yes.
All righty. Guys, good, isn't it? Hey, good. I love this. Every single week I learn something. That's what I love about this industry, that everybody's got something that can bring to the table. No matter how long they've been doing this, somebody's always got something of value to bring in, which is really, really cool. But like I said, we're racing through this. Crazy. Let me just play this quick ad, and then we're going to come back because there's some really interesting stuff that Hugo wants to share about the social media. He's not told me exactly what, but I've also got some things to put to him, which I discovered for best practice using Instagram. All right, so let's just play this back in about a minute or two, and then, let's find out what Hugo's got to say about socials. Alrighty, now listen, Lee, he did dive back into the socials there. So I saw in the chat, and he's mentioned this, and I know exactly what you mean now. It wasn't one of your pictures, Hugo. It was this. He's on about the copyright. Like when you said about your dad taking the picture, the copyright. He's on about this. Remember that picture there? When they said it was the monkey got hold of the camera and took the picture, and then they said that the monkey owned the copyright. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? It sounds absolutely crazy. But I remember it. Lee, thank you for sharing that. I'd completely forgot about that. And here's me saying it. Is it this picture of Hugo? Is that what you're on about? Huh? What an idiot. Anyway, listen. All right. Now that we're back, the social media side of things, because I know that is a big part of what you do, helping people with their social media side of it. You just seem to have this knack of understanding social media and how to get the best out of it. And I know you've got a really good following on Instagram. So when we were chatting a couple of days ago, I've still got that monkey picture to my side here. When we were chatting a couple of days ago, you said my attitude or my thoughts on social media are different to a lot of other people or something like that. That's what you said. What did you mean by that?
Oh, okay. So there's a few things. First, what I think is one of the most controversial ones is that I don't agree that one should ever blame the algorithm if their posts do well.
Okay.
Now, why is it? Why is that? I believe even if that was right, then it does not benefit you. And I'm all about believing in what's going to actually help you move forward. And how the platforms overall work is that the platform will push what the audience enjoys. Often, that can be the case. That can be harsh truth to face. Is that maybe your post just wasn't interesting enough for other people, and many can't face that. I'm not saying my posts are perfect. I also have those posts, but when I have those posts that don't do well, I blame myself in a kind way. I don't go out and blame the algorithm, because then I can't try to figure what to improve at. So I look at, and that's the second thing. So taking responsibility. So really figuring out how can I make this better. Looking at the analytics, and I feel most people just try to kind of blame it on something that they can't control. And I don't think that's intelligent. And when you think about how these social media platforms work, they do want to push out content that do keep people on the platform. So if your post is one of these, that it really captivates people really spend time looking at it, the algorithm should then push it out more. Of course, there are some instances when the algorithm might not distribute it, if you have done some things wrong, violated Instagram's rules, say, then that can be the case. But I think in majority of the cases, the post just wasn't good enough.
I'm so glad to hear you say that, because that just gets on my nerves when you hear people saying that they're, oh, that's good for the algorithm, do this, do that. And that's all they think about, rather than making their own content authentic and interesting to them. And it's almost like they're just trying to kind of beat the system almost. And when you were saying that then, Hugo, it made me think, as a friend of mine, you might know him, Unmesh Dinder, who is just wonderful at Photoshop. He's a lovely, lovely guy. And Unmesh, people seem to think that he came from nowhere and all of a sudden, wallop, he had a huge channel. There was a lot of work that went on prior to that.
Yep.
But I remember when his YouTube channel did start to really kick off. And now he's up to 5.7 million followers on YouTube. There's a reason for that. And that's because he works damn hard and he produces great content. It's as simple as that. But I remember speaking to people who were in the industry who were saying, oh, he's figured out the algorithm. It's not fair. He knows the algorithm, or he knows somebody on the inside and he's worked it all out, so he's just working the algorithm. It's like, God, no. He is just working harder than you and producing better content. It's as simple as that. So it's lovely to hear. It's refreshing to hear you say not to post with the algorithm necessarily in mind. So thank you. You heard it here first. Thank you very much. Right. Your next point was what?
Yeah. So the next point is that, this depends a bit on what is the goal of the person. But yeah, so if you are just posting on Instagram because you just want to share your photos and you don't aim to grow a following, you are not trying to make a business out of it, then this doesn't apply to you. But yeah, if you're trying to build a following and a business, then what I recommend is that you post every single day. And people really don't like, many people don't like that idea, and they're like, oh, like quality over quantity. And I do believe the content should be good quality, don't get me wrong, but the question is, how do you get to the quality? If you're just like, for example, starting out, and for example you're trying to do reels, like the chances are that your first reel is gonna be pretty bad, and then the next one is gonna be better and better and better. So then when you would do that, say for a year, then your content is gonna be like pretty good, and then it's gonna even improve more from there. When it then comes to business side of things, then there's also been a study done, I believe by Google, is that the average person will spend 7 hours watching your content before they decide to buy from you. So if you think about Instagram, and they are like 15-second videos, if you make one 15-second video a week, how long is it gonna take that you reach a 7-hour mark? It's gonna take quite a while. That's why I recommend to post every day, and also post something about yourself, like not just your pretty photos, but like showcase like who you are. Like I show my like weird side that I like my coffee with butter and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And that this brings the personality side of things. It shows me I'm a human now. And yeah, like of course YouTube is different in this way, that you have longer form stuff, and then like you can get that number up faster. And when you are overall posting a lot, then you also do have chances of that lucky breakthrough. Like there's always some percentage of luck in it, that like I don't like to, again, like say it is all about luck, because it definitely isn't. But yeah, the more you do stuff and the better quality that the stuff is, then the more likely it is that you're gonna get your breakthrough. And all it takes is one video that yeah, last year when I blew up, like I got 39,000 from one video. So it's only one video away in that way. And then another thing that photographers don't really also, like many don't like thinking about, but if you're serious about growing an Instagram following, you should post reels. And that's just like I'm not saying it is impossible to grow through photos, but through the data I have and what I've seen, it's more difficult. And on average, like people who post reels do see more reach, and they also do get more followers. And that's been the same case for me.
Okay, well, I'm going to bring up some things that I found out then, because I want to dive into this, and also just to, because it's interesting what you say about the reels. I know that L has put, can it only be stories? Does it have to be posts or reels? What do you think of that one, Hugo? Can you grow by just doing stories, or do you have to do posts and reels as well?
Yeah, good question. So the bad side of stories is that it's not like recommended to other people. It's just for current following. So if you already have a great following,
there you go. Good
stories can be a great way to communicate. And like that's why I personally want to invest more, and I will invest more time into like doing certain story tactics and getting into automations and that kind of stuff, because story is also from business side of things where you can make much more money compared to just like posts. So yeah, unfortunately, stories aren't great for growing a following, but they are good at maintaining a following.
Yeah, it's a really good point. All right, so there are some things coming in. Right, so the questions coming in. Let me just bring up these things here that I did a bit of digging, because I mentioned before we went live, when we were chatting before I pressed the live button. After our conversation the other day, we were talking a little bit about this. I then just happened to see, maybe it was the algorithm, I don't know, a video came up on YouTube about Instagram, and it was this guy talking about best practice. So I did a little bit of digging, and I did this purely so I could get your thoughts on this, because this is what the Instagram, people who make Instagram Meta and whatever they recommend. So what I did was, and this is for people to check this out themselves as well. I've got a bit of show you how you can get to this. You get to your dashboard, and there's a little tab there called Best Practices. Okay, so Best Practices. And when you go to Best Practices, There's a few tabs across the top of the screen there, as you can see, creation, engagement, reach, what have you. But there's a few little pointers within these that I wanted to just ask you about. So the first one, like you said, you mentioned there about reels, and it says best practice for the creation is make creating reels part of your routine. Many factors go into make growing followers, but accounts with the greatest follower growth rates create 10 or more reels per month on average, which I thought was interesting. Okay, so that's that one. Keeping within the creation tab, carousels. Okay, so carousels typically get better reach than single photo posts. Try adding text in the first slide to set context and keep people scrolling through. So for those who don't know, because obviously, we kind of forget how much we know compared to other people, and we take it for granted what we know. So reels, obviously, we've talked about, but carousels, for those who don't know, is when you post more than one picture. I can't remember how many in total you can do now. Is it 20? But you can have pictures, and you can swipe through the pictures, and those pictures there as well, rather than being still images, they can also have a background music going. So what are your thoughts on the carousels as well? Have you done any kind of testing? And again, I don't mean to put you on the spot here, Hugo. It's just interesting to get your feedback on this. Are you finding that reels get better than carousels, or is it now a bit of a level playing field between the two? Or is it too soon to say because they've only just changed this, really?
Yeah, so what they have recently done is they have started to introduce some carousels in the Reels tab, which I find interesting. And that same thing is on TikTok. So I think that's where they stole the idea from. And I think there's not one certain rule of this. I think everyone should find it out for themselves. That for some people, they could see better success with carousels, and then some with Reels. But based on my data, how I approach Instagram is that the reels are just and purely for follower growth. I mean, they can also be for other purposes, like if I make a talking video, then it can be to connect with the audience or maybe try to sell something or something else. But often when I make especially a short video where I showcase some photos, that's me aiming that as many non-followers see that as possible. Then with carousels, like I did this, there was a Finnish Independence Day a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I put a lot of different photos there, and I did max out the 20, and that was to increase the watch time. So the longer someone spends on your post, then the more reach it does get. And if you can imagine, if you have a single photo, it can be pretty fast to look through, but if you have 20, it takes much longer. So that's why then the carousels do end up getting more reach, and of course then people can also be more invested into that post, so they are more likely to like and to comment. And then you can also ask, like, a very simple call to action can be that which one is your favorite photo, and then some will even like swipe back and forth and try to figure out like what is their favorite photo, and then they might comment it, and then that gets a boost in the algorithm that people do see, the algorithm sees that people are really enjoying this, like, hey, let's push it out more.
It's interesting because obviously you can put music to the carousels as well. Yeah. But one thing I found as interesting, I'll bring up a tab on this in a second. It was saying that it kind of alluded to the fact that when you're putting music to a carousel or putting music to a reel, that you use the music that is in the trending tab when you go to the music. Don't just necessarily go searching for what you want to necessarily have, it sounds so kind of premeditated, doesn't it, really? I suppose it is. But if you want to get more reach, if that's what your goal is, it was saying that to use music from within the trending list of music. I thought that was interesting, that even that can maybe direct, more kind of a following or more interest or whatever. So that was interesting. Let me just bring this one up here, Hugo. Have I brought this one up here? Oh, yeah, check your timing. Reels that are 30 to 90 seconds long get better engagement and are shown to more people, which I thought was interesting. Reels over 90 seconds won't be recommended to new audiences. What's all that about? 30 to 90 seconds is the optimum, but anything longer than that, even though I didn't even know they could go longer than a minute and a half, but even if they can, but not to do it because they won't get recommended to new audiences. Wow.
Yeah. Like I'd say like when it comes to these best practices, what I've also heard from other people is that these are not all of these are not actually correct. That all of these are not like actually accurate to what the data tells us. And when it comes to reels, the 30 to 60 seconds, what does better engagement exactly mean? Now, if you're how the algorithm determines is something liked by people is I mean many different things, but one is the watch time. So percentage wise, like did they watch the entire video? And then the second thing is how long did they watch the video for? So ideally, of course, you would make a long video, say 60 seconds, and you would get everyone to watch until the end. But the longer the video is, then the more difficult it is to get people to watch until the end.
Yeah.
So that's why we do see that the shorter videos still do better on Instagram. What I've seen most success with myself is around the 15 seconds mark. If you go to the a 7-second mark, then you might not be able to get context on why people should care. So, for example, what has worked very well for me is to give a bit of context on who I am. So, hi, I'm a 21-year-old photographer, and then I show my photos. So now they're more invested in my journey. Now it's just not some random photos that I'm showing to them. Ideally, it could be to 30 to 60 seconds. But the truth is that still what we see is that the shorter than 30 seconds seems to go more viral because it's easier to get people to watch through. And you can make over 90-second videos as well. I have one 4.5-minute video on my profile pinned right now. So it's like my story video where I tell my story from beginning to end, so people get to know me when they land on profile.
Interesting. All right. Okay. Cool. Let's bring up this next one then, just to see what your thoughts are on this. Okay. Now this was one that I was really intrigued about. It's in the creation tab. Scroll to the next page on it, and it's point number 6. It says, connect through relevant captions. Your captions provide an extra opportunity to connect. Make sure that they related to your content or encourage people to join in. Now, when it comes to captions, I'm obviously thinking, I'm interpreting that as, the words that come up underneath, which you see when you're doing your videos. That's what I'm interpreting it as. Is that what you're seeing it as, captions, or?
I think
because obviously when you're in Instagram and you go to add something, you get the choice of adding captions. So are they calling captions something different in the best practice section there?
I think the caption is what you can write about the photograph or a video in words, but then subtitles are what show up then on the screen. I think both are important. That the subtitles it's been the data tells us that around 40 to 60% of people who use Instagram don't use it with the sound on. So if you do post where you don't have subtitles, then so engagement then goes down because most people won't have an idea what you are talking about. But then the caption, where you could write something, say you post a beautiful photo from a hike, you could write about your story, how you got the photograph, and now they are more invested into the journey. And what I like to do often is ask some sort of a question from people so that they can get involved. And the more comments there are, then the algorithm sees that, hey, people are enjoying this, there's a discussion going on, let's show it to more people. So I think
now I'm glad you said that as well, because I know, obviously I follow you on Instagram and I see that you do posts where you are asking questions. And as we're talking now about best practice with Instagram, and you're saying it's good to ask questions, it can almost sound, when you say that, some people might interpret that as being a little bit false, that you're just asking questions to get engagement. But really, when you think about it, the title of this whole thing is social media. So if you're showing pictures, you're going to want to know something. So it is in a way, you are trying to be social with it, as I understand it. It's like if I'd taken some pictures and I printed them all out and you lived next door to me and I knocked on your door, you answer the door and I go, there you go, there's my pictures, look at them. That's kind of like what you're doing, isn't it? When you just post the pictures. But when you give them and you share them saying, oh, what do you think of that one there? Do you like that one? Which one's your favourite? That's kind of what you're doing, isn't it, on Instagram by saying, let me know which one's your favourite. You're being social. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's how it seems to be. So, yeah, okay, cool. There are other questions coming in. I'm conscious of time here, mate, but let's just go through these ones here. So, again, content. Oh, yeah. Creation tab. This will kind of be interesting for Amanda, because obviously Amanda's saying why put music when 90% of users have it on silent. Amplify your content with audio. Add audio to reels or posts to help get them to be shown to more people and bring your content to life. To help maximize reach, use the trending tab. Again, I know I've mentioned this already, Hugo, but what are your thoughts on that?
The fact regarding trending music is that in the algorithm there is nothing that pushes out certain music more. Like, that's another thing. The CEO has confirmed that that's not a thing. But what is a thing, again, what we come back to is what people are enjoying. So there are at times these music that pop up that people are like enjoying listening to like more and more. And this makes some posts and get pushed more because they have the music that people enjoy listening to. And well, the data says that it's around 40 to 60% who don't have audio on. So you still have this like around half of people who do use it with an audio on. And music does add more engagement. In the photograph, say that you add some music there, or then a video. I understand why some people wouldn't want to add music. Like, at first I was a bit hesitant, but I personally see that the music can like emphasize the story I want to tell.
Yeah.
And then it does make it a more immersive experience. And then more people will be like, when they are more immersed, then the more likely it is that they will also engage with the post somehow, and then that's gonna result in more reach.
Okay, all right. Let's quickly go through these other ones here. Then just quickly. Oh, it says here, keep it high quality, 720p with 30 frames per second. The guy when he shared that, actually, we won't bother covering that one too much, because the guy when he posted that one up and he said, oh, it says to show it in the highest resolution possible for this, which is 720p. And 30 frames per second. He said, but then I've posted videos that are 25 frames per second that have had more views. So what does that tell you? So it's just like they're giving it as best practice, but does it really matter? Other ones here, let's have a look here. Reply to comments within a couple of days. Liking or replying to comments on your reels or posts can generate conversation and help your content continue to get more reach. So do you think I know obviously when it comes to like YouTube, it's important to respond to stuff like that, but how do you feel replying to comments? Have you noticed that any difference if you do or don't respond to comments, or are you somebody that's always responded to comments?
Yeah, so I have not tracked it like exactly like what's the difference between responding and not responding, because I always do aim to respond. Of course, with some videos like that do blow up, it becomes a pretty impossible task. Like, if you have 3,000 comments, it's like, how do I respond to everyone? But I do aim to respond to everyone, because it does help the algorithm and get more reach. But then two, I think it's just nice to reply to people. So if they take time out of their day to say it's a beautiful photo, or maybe they do leave out like a very in-depth comment. Like sometimes I get people saying like, I had a bad day and I saw your photograph and now like I feel much better. It's like I think it would be rude for me to not reply as long as I do see the comment. So I do try to keep it that also that 2 days that I will try to get back to the comments to keep everything flowing. So cool. I think that's correct. Yeah.
All right. Okay. And the last one that I've got here. Sharing reels. This is an important one. Sharing reels with watermarks. Having third-party watermarks on your reels may prevent them from being recommended to new audiences. Now, being photographers, we know what we mean by when we say a watermark, you know, your logo or something on the picture there. But what I think this other guy, when I saw this video, what he was also suggesting was a watermark doesn't necessarily have to be like a stamp on the image with a logo or something like that. It could be text in the form of titles and subtitle captions that are added in from third-party apps to then put into Instagram. Because obviously, you know, we've got Adobe Express that can create captions for video and you can stylize them. He was almost suggesting that when you do that, that is counting as a watermark, which could affect your reach. It's like, have you heard anything to do with that at all? Again, this is all, you know, I know I'm sort of putting you in at the deep end here, asking you these questions, which I hadn't told you I was going to ask you. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it, again, is it one of those things that's like, nah?
Yeah, it's been confirmed by the CEO that that's not the case. That you can make subtitles and stuff in third-party stuff, and that does not affect at all. There's no difference. Do you put the like text on the screen in the Instagram app or somewhere else? Now I can't recall an exact example, but I bet I have some viral video that I have created a caption like outside of Instagram, and I'm sure that other people have. So that doesn't affect it, but like overall, like watermarks that are watermarks, then those are things that people should watch out for.
Fair enough. All right, cool. That was like a quick fire section there that I wanted to get your thoughts on that. So thanks for sharing that. So really, I think that what we learned from that section there is ignore their recommendations almost. Do you know what I mean? Pretty much ignore them. But just, if anything, be social. Be social on social media. Don't have reels that are too long. Have some music if you want to have some music. And make it authentic, interesting, and post often. Simple as that. And don't try to chase the algorithm. Don't try to beat it. Cool. All right. Okay. Now, for anybody who isn't following Hugo, if not, why not? But if you aren't, there's his handle over on Instagram. So check that out. I shall put, obviously, all the details in the description part of the video afterwards and on the blog post that follows tomorrow as well with all the links. But Hugo, I'm just really conscious of time here. This has raced by. An hour and 20 minutes. God damn it. I'm sorry. I didn't expect to. I'm sorry to keep you waiting this long, but no, it's been brilliant. There you go. Right, we're going to wrap it up. I think what I might have to do, Hugo, is get you back on in here in a few months' time. Because in fact, I would love to. There you go. Andrew Kavanagh followed. Lee Churchill followed. They're all, there you go. So got some more people to follow there. I've been following you. Once you've been to the Japan thing, I'll keep an eye on what you're doing on social media. Get to Japan, do your stuff, and then I'll give you a shout and maybe look at getting you back on, because I'd love to hear about how that went, what you did, what went right, what went wrong, and so on and so forth. So, and how good was ChatGPT? How much did it help you with your trip to Japan? I'm looking forward to that. But Hugo, thank you so much for doing this. Apart from the Instagram, on your website as well, where else would you recommend that people go to check you out? Is there anywhere else that you religiously post? But actually, when you do go to his website, folks, keep scrolling, because you'll see images on here that you didn't see in this slideshow. There's tons of lovely stuff here.
So I would say my newsletter is definitely something that like there I would say is my best free stuff. And from my newsletter, like once you do sign up, there you can also get access to my blog posts. And like they are very in depth, and I share a lot of stuff for free, like regarding social media, regarding photography, the business side of things. So brilliant. I would say that can be a place. I don't know, can I link it somewhere? Maybe in the chat. Is there a way to?
You could, I guess you could do, unless. Tell you what, unless you send it. If you go onto YouTube and type a comment, you could do it that way, I guess. Or send me a message in interview chat and I'll copy and paste it, maybe something like that. So talking about that there then, so people have already seen it, but look, questions or comments coming in here. Judy's just started following. Kirsty, I'm definitely going to follow. And you got some people here who mentioned about subscribe to your blog newsletter. There we go. Hugo's newsletter is extremely helpful. There you go, folks. You know what to do. Lovely stuff. Hugo, mate, thank you so much for this. Absolutely loved it. Oh, my friend Anthony here, what's he put? Anthony's put, this is gold dust. I need all the help I can get regarding social media. Oh, bless you. You're doing good, mate. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. God, everyone's commenting now saying following. Maybe I should do a interview myself and just give my handle out so people can follow me. I know. Mate, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure chatting, and I'm so pleased that we met up in San Francisco, and I look forward to the next time as well, because it was a cracking few days, thoroughly enjoyable. And I love this. I love this community stuff where we, throughout this industry has given me so much. I mean, you know, because you were there and I did a talk about how thankful I am for what this industry has given me. But it's introduced me to some amazing people, and I put you within that umbrella. Do you know what I mean? I think I'm so pleased that we've got to meet and kept connected, and I look forward to this continuing. I really, really do. So, mate, from me, thank you very, very much for doing this. It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, of course, it's a pleasure to be on. So yeah, thanks a lot for having me, and I can't wait for the possible next time.
There's no possible. It will be happening because there'll be there's plenty more of this coming in as well. Have some of that. There you go. Thoroughly enjoyed it. People have as well. So don't disappear. I'm going to close this down in a moment. I'm going to play your slideshow again at the end. But just stick around. You'll see a few things happening on screen, Hugo, but it might go blank. I will be back with you, so just hang on. But from me and from everybody in the chat, people have loved this, mate. Thank you so much for sharing, and I'll see you in the virtual green room in a moment.
See you.
Oh, wow. How good was that? How good was that? And I'm really pleased that Hugo was happy to share what he thinks about the social media thing, because he has got a great following. He's got a great channel, and it is very personable. Do you know what I mean? You have an idea what some people are doing when they want to increase their reach, but he does it in such a way that is really kind of under the radar and very calm and just nice. It's a very pleasing channel to follow. So I recommend it that for those of you who aren't, that you do that. Right, I will play Hugo's promo again in a moment to close this out, but let's just quickly go over the admin. The admin again was check out the video if you're interested in using your phones for recording audio or video, whatever. These Rode microphones, I've got to say, I am genuinely impressed with them. Yes, they did send them to me. No, I don't have to return them. They haven't paid me, but having them to keep is kind of a payment. But genuinely, I'd have brought them anyway. They're a really, really good bit of kit, so have a check out for those. Oh yeah, keep an eye out, me doing some stuff. I can't wait to get my hands on this tomorrow. I genuinely cannot wait. Anthony, if you're still there, I'm going to be going to Crick Howell. I'm going to photograph my new car in Crick Howell, which is the Top Gear roads. Can't wait to do that. What else was I going to tell you? Oh yeah, the other thing, really weird, not weird, different. I'm going to put another segment in at the end of these here. Recommended viewing. Nothing to do with photography at all, but just recommended viewing. For those times when you've done all the stuff, you're having some downtime, you're scrolling through Netflix and Prime, you can't find anything decent to watch. What the hell can you watch? So I want, every now and again, folks who tune in regular, drop me a message to say what you would recommend people tune into on Netflix, because it can be a nightmare trying to find something. I want to recommend, if you haven't seen it, holy smokes, check this out. Best thing I have seen on television in years. Absolutely outstanding television. There's 10 episodes in total. Episode 9 was out last Thursday. Me and my wife were on the edge of our seats for the whole 53 minutes of the episode. It is amazing. Every episode is like a Bond film. It's just the best thing. So check that out. The Day of the Jackal, where you've got Eddie Redmayne and Lashana Lynch. Oh my God, amazing. So there's the first one for you. Recommended viewing. And I think it's on Now. No, is it Now? Yeah, Now. I think it's on Now. Yeah, Now TV. One of those. Have a look for it. Well worth watching. Right, okay, that's it. That's me. That's done. So next week, I am back. Another one of the folks that I met in San Francisco. I've got to say this correctly. Roberta Dall'Alba. Or she'll accept being called Robbie. She likes being called Robbie as well. So she's on next week. Lovely lady. Got a very great way about her. Very entertaining. Really interesting story. And takes some very cool photographs of food and travel as well. And it's an interesting story how she started to do that. So I'm looking forward to chatting with Robbie or Roberta next week. So that'll be next Sunday, 7 p.m. Same time, same place. here on YouTube and Facebook. So thanks so much for joining me. Again, thank you to Hugo. I'll be with him in a moment. Folks, have a great week, and I'll see you in a week's time. And I'm going to finish off with Hugo's promo. See you next week.